Hapa hivi Wabebe XP, the hashtag to use is still Wabebe XP. The SMS line is 22047. Now, tonight, tuko naye hapa hivi mheshimiwa ambaye he's not new to, amekuwa na vitu zinamfuatafuata zinamandama vitu watu but we want to find out a little bit more about him as a person as well, and of course have him also address some of those, and I'm talking about the majority chief whip pale bunge, anaitwa Honorable Silvanus Osoro. Karibu sana.
Asante sana bro.
Uko salama?
Nashukuru Mungu.
Sema Wabebe.
Happy New Year Wabebe. Wabebe ama sio hiyo?
Ndio. Hapo iko sawa. Hata umenishangaza. Hapo iko sawa sana. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year bro.
Yes, you're doing well.
Lakini mwaka imezeeka.
Mwaka imezeeka kidogo lakini unajua Wakenya hadi April.
Yeah, by the way, tukianza happy Easter or something.
Happy Easter no, sasa tuna change. When the new holiday comes we change.
Yeah, very
yes,
true.
But it's good to see you.
Kuna siku yenye tunataka tu kuruka.
Gani hiyo?
Valentines.
Mbona uiruke?
Hiyo 14th hiyo inagonga pressure jo.
Haona ni nini?
Inagonga pressure.
Ama zinakuja mingi.
Sijui. Lakini ni pressure. Ni expense.
Na unaanza kupangia Januari. Na inakuja immediately after school fees manini. Yes. Hapo ndio
ilipo ma fees alafu umefika tena 14th.
Yes. Na unaingia. Alafu sasa imagine kama mtu birthday yake ni 18th ya Feb.
Hiyo ndio shida sasa.
Hapo sasa inakuwa noma sana. But welcome.
Thank you bro.
I mean there's so many places where we could start. Now, wacha tuanze na the latest things basi. Then before we go to Silvanus the person. There has been so much going on in terms of your, let's call it beef, with the Kisii governor Simba Arati. He made some claims and you made some counterclaims. Ukasema hata utampeleka kotini juu ni slander. What is the position? What happened?
No, unajua hii siasa, this politics is siasa ni vipindre. Siasa iko na maneno mengi sana. And sometimes you wonder whether somebody else is using your face or your image outside there,
right,
that you're not aware of.
Yes.
Because the stories you hear about yourself when you're in politics it confuses you. Like you don't understand whether it's you or somebody else.
Right.
There is no beef in politics.
Okay.
There is only interests.
Okay.
There is nothing personal between me and my governor. It's all about interest and it's all about politics. And it's all about, our aspirations, maybe in future or so.
Okay.
But the stories that you've been seeing around are all fabrications, and it's a formation of the normal antagonistic politics that we all know about this country. When you hear stories, you wonder, they can only happen in the movie. Like, Sora Kashuka, akiwa amebeba AK47, akaanza kushoot. I want you to imagine that image, mimi nimeshuka nikiwa nimebeba AK47. It is not practical.
Right.
It is not true. And then unasikia kwamba watu wakashutiwa, watu wako hospitali. Please, when you get him, ask him the names of those who are in hospital. Not a single person is in hospital from gunshot. And unless kuna mtu aliweka image yangu akaenda kwa hiyo function.
Yes.
It wasn't me.
Yes.
Ati nikashuka na bunduki nikashoot. That's a lie. But then we had an issue, an altercation kidogo in my ward.
Yes.
My constituency.
What was the issue?
The issue was I had functions lined up.
Okay.
Within the day. I usually, in my constituency, any student that scores over 350 marks,
okay,
I sponsor them. I sponsor their education through what we call Osoro Care Club, up to university. And that has been my norm.
Okay.
I don't use government money. It's from friends and my personal donation.
Yes. So
I now have a total of about 800 students.
Okay.
So that day, usually what we do every term, I don't just pay. Because taki ni uze ngombe nisomeshe ngombe. So every time they bring a report card, their report card, and we see how they've scored, how they're faring on, and everything. We give them targets. We connect them to their wannabe careers or their dream careers. Like if you want to be a doctor, we bring some doctors and such.
Okay.
So that day we had that exercise as they prepared to go to the school.
Yes.
I had informed the police. They knew of this because usually this function attracts so many people.
Right.
Plus those who are not part of this group.
Because already standard the 800.
Exactly.
Okay.
So they also want to join and even learn and listen. So I always involve the police to help me control the crowd. Hey, I didn't know. And of course, I had plans that immediately I finished that, I commissioned some few roads. I have about 25 roads lined up for commissioning, for grading and graveling. So I was in my office. Then somebody told me, one of the roads you're going to commission, Governor Koyo area. It's some place called Nyansembe somewhere in Moticho Ward. I said, sitaenda hapo. Because we don't go along politically.
Right.
Clearly, something will happen. So I didn't know he was also coming to the other side, where I'm again meant to commission some road.
Yes.
He didn't inform the police. So I asked the sub-county police commander, are you aware Governor is around? He told me, no, he didn't tell me. I didn't know. Because the sub-county police commander was in my function. So as I was progressing with mine, Kumbe, where I was going to have a function, a place called Nyakembene, I was meant to launch a road called Nyansembe Nyakembene. So he's going to have a function at Nyakembene. I had to move my graders. Instead of starting or commissioning the road from Nyakembene, I commissioned it from a place called Nyabisase, sorry, not Nyansembe, Nyabisase. And that's where I placed my graders and the PA system and everything. So on his way to that place, akaona magari hapo, grader, na unajua gavana wangu ni mtu wa vipindi, ni mtu wa Nairobi, anatembea na gari 22, 23, 24. Na gari 10 ni goons, ni vijana. I don't know why, but maybe that is his modus of parading, and that is how he's chosen to do his politics. Wakashuka, wakatuanga hawa jamaa wangu mbaya sana. Ati mnasimama mnaweka gari hapa na governor atakuwa huku juu. So that is how it started.
Right.
My people, of course, retaliated. They picked the speakers, they picked the PA system, and they went with it to their function. So as the function was on, because it's my constituency, of course, people felt provoked. Some people moved and followed them. Give us our PA system. That is how it started. And then when I was called, kumekuwa na vita hapa Nyakembene, because people are demanding for their speakers and everything, that's the time I went there.
Right.
But I couldn't even reach at the venue. Because mawe, my friends, zilikuwa zinarushwa vibaya sana. Because sasa ujui ni nani anarusha.
Yes.
Tukachapa U-turn, tukarudi. There was nothing. I mean, these guys are creating a mountain out of a hill. Nobody was injured.
Right.
Even the gunshots that were being shot at the air by his bodyguards didn't injure anybody. It was kila mtu apote, so that kusikue na hiyo vita.
Yes.
It's unfortunate it happened. Although he says, he was giving bursaries, it's a lie. He was giving forms. There's a difference. Kazi ile ya ward admin, unajua niko na governor anataka kufanya kila kitu.
Yes.
Amechukua kazi ya MCA, amechukua kazi ya ward admin, anachukua kazi mpaka ya daktari. Juu anaenda hospitali kwa daktari, mbona hamjadunga huyu sindano? So we have an overbearing governor, but that is him, and that is the person people elected. We have to live with it.
Yes.
Why I threatened to go to court, and I'm going, not really threatening,
Okay.
is because now he went around saying I came out with a gun, I started shooting people, and there are people who died. I mean, I'm putting him to task to produce evidence on me holding a gun, or the evidence of me holding a gun, evidence of people who were in hospital with gunshot wounds. To date, nobody has written a statement of a gunshot wound. In any case, it's my people who have written statement over the attack.
Right.
So I will go to court to sue for slander. And I'll be seeking damages because my good name has really been slandered.
Right.
And it's within the law. I mean, really, instead of us fighting and engaging in war of words, why can't we sort it out in court?
Right.
I mean, we are all law-abiding citizens. Nobody should feel sad. You already said that you saw Osoro attacking. Then say it in court.
Right.
I mean, that is why we should square it up, so that if truly I am in the wrong, I pay you. If you're in the wrong, you pay me. And I mean, it's rules of natural justice.
Yes. He also made they said there was a observation he made that, for example, and he cited this example, he said, when we have an MP like Salasia, who I hosted here, slap somebody, boom, he's arrested out. But when things are said about majority chief whip, ni kama amelindwa, yeye hawezi shikwa. He's sort of above the law.
That's a lie. But you've even said it when you saw stories about Salasia. But it's in public domain. You saw Salasia. I also saw Salasia on video, captured on live video, slapping somebody.
Right.
I mean, although you say that it is the guy who moved his cheek closer
towards his hand.
So.
Yes.
But There was a video.
Yes.
Do you have a video of me shooting? So how am I above the law? Okay, maybe a video could be high. Do you have a picture of me holding a gun? Do you know, I do not know where you got that story from. To date, maybe, do you have a face that looks similar to mine of a person holding a gun and trying to shoot haphazardly? That's a lie. My governor is trying to whip emotions, and it's normal diversionary tactics that you usually have across, because he is on record lying that he's constructed 128 ECD classes in the past 1 year. But unfortunately, the record is clear. He has not built a single one. All the funds sent to the Kisii County government, 13 billion, except, say, for the salaries, all the other development money has gone back to the treasury, to the exchequer. He has not spent a single one. Not a single project is ongoing. And because of that, as a Nairobian, because he's been an MP in Nairobi, he's very smart in diversionary tactics. And the only scapegoat could be Osoro, because you all know, you all imagine there is imaginary war between me and him.
Right.
So if you look at the video where he's shouting, he's saying, vijana in Kisii, akina nani hao? Then he answers himself, Osoro. I mean, you can actually see this is drama, because when you are put to task, then he whips emotions by telling people, let Osoro be arrested. Why can't you explain to people why he should Osoro be arrested? Has he even made a formal like report with statements of people who Osoro assaulted? No,
Right.
not a single one.
Right.
So it's unfortunate, but it's usually diversionary. And I keep telling my people in my area, in our Gusii region, that you are here to see. For 5 years, you'll see such dramas. And you'll always be diverted. You'll be whipped to insult Osoro. And then eventually he'll tell you that, Osoro disturbed me, so I didn't do development.
Right.
That is why I didn't build 128 classes, because Osoro was beating me from Nyakimben. Yet it's a lie.
All right.
And the unfortunate part
Yes.
is that people will believe. Because over time, I have learned that people love bad boys. And you've got to develop a bad personality to be loved in politics. I mean, people don't like development. People love drama.
Wait, when you say people, is it people from political class people, or because wananchi naye tunataka barabara, tunataka hospitali,
hamtaki. Wananchi wote the entire wananchi, now not just Kenya, world over. Can you imagine Trump was elected president? Do you know there is a possibility he may win again? Watu wanapenda hivyo. Watu wanapenda vipindi. Without really naming so many names, come to country. Watu wanapenda bad boys kwa hii siasa. Watu wanapenda watu kuwachezea, ni kununulia unga, ni kupatia handbag. Hata barabara ikiwa mbaya, nikuje niwaambie unajua ninapigwa.
So here, do you think is it a making of society, or a making of politics, or what's the balance?
It is the making of the society. It's the society that loves that way. Developed countries, kuna zile countries zingine zenye, especially monarchies. I'm not really advocating for monarchies, but when you look at extreme developed countries, look at UAE, for example. It's a monarchy. You walk along the street and ask the leader of that very place, utashindwa ni nani? Because hata watu wengine hawajui, they don't give a damn. Na huko sheria inasema, hey, tax on this, on this, on this. Nobody questions. Because it is the law as it is. But here, this country, look at us. Look at the history of everybody who's in this country, and you'll agree, even the leadership of this country, you'll agree that at some point you've had some drama. And in even the president has had some drama in his yesteryears. That is what people have. That is why you'll see people not questioning where their money is in terms of the money that is devolved. But they'll be whipped to defend a lie. And they will win. Because people enjoy that. So sometimes I tend to think that I may not wish to be so long in politics because there are some things I can't do. That I'm given money for development, I convert it and give you ungangano because I know that's what you want, then you elect me. I may not, if that is the only modus operandi, I may not wish to be in politics forever.
But people are assuming, or the assumption is unapigwa vita kwa sababu pale mbele Osoro for governor posta inaenda kutoka.
Father, I'll shock you and I'll say this on national TV as I'm saying. I have never admired county politics. I mean, that's a village kind of politics. How many governors have you hosted, by the way, here?
Actually, none.
Exactly. Why? Why?
But not for lack of trying.
You haven't tried, but I know why.
I've tried to reach out to some.
And how many times? How many times have you tried me?
3 or 4 times.
Exactly.
Yes.
National politics is what defines the trajectory of a country. When you devolve back to governorship, you devolve your politics, you degrade yourself, you only carry a big name. Your longevity in terms of sustainability in politics is dim and not really visible. And this is very factual. And I'll give you practical examples. With tremendous respect to Oparanya, governor, former. He was a very big name. He even served as chairman of governors, council of governors.
Yes.
Today I see him roaming around and trying to make himself relevant. I'll give you another example. And you know he has no other political comeback other than trying presidency. He can't try anything else.
Is it because it's dim sasa ukienda MP umekuwa mdogo ama
when you run an executive office you carry a lot of baggage. That is why you carry yourself a lot of baggage. Like now I'm questioning about roads in my area, in Kisii. I'm questioning about hospitals in my area. The only person to question is the governor. So you carry a baggage. And then because you kind of run a company as an employer, top employer, because your county has got county employees, you create small and big enemies. And then you also create imaginary enemies. It's not like a legislative arm. So the truth of the matter is people have imaginations that I want to run for governor. But I want to tell them that I enjoy national politics. I want to run for president of this country someday. And you can't run for president if you try to devolve your politics. If I must run for a county seat, then it should be Senate. If I must. Unless there is an extreme burning desire, which hasn't developed yet, to help people in my county.
Yes.
Because from where I sit, our county is also not on the right trajectory. So unless there is such an extreme burning desire and a push by the masses, then I'll consider. But for now, it hasn't occurred to me in the head. So please tell the imaginary competitors that I am not in the ring yet.
Yes.
And if I do, I'll win.
Okay, let's go back now to the beginning, like I like saying, to Osoro, the person, born and bred where? What was your childhood like? Your upbringing? Okay. Yes.
Today when I sit here for interview, and reflecting back on the history, I get to wonder whether is it truly me or there is somewhere else. And it has not just occurred to me today, but several times. The other day I was with the president on Air Force One, flying, with him. And I sit here and I'm next to him and I was asking him, Your Excellency, are you the president or it's me who is now grown? Because I don't know whether I'm sitting with the president.
Right.
It's either I have become so big or you become so small. Because why are we here? And then he asked me, what do you mean? I told him, when we reflect on where God has brought us from, and because it can only be God, you get surprised. My childhood, Willis, it is not a joke. Do you know you are speaking to a former street boy? Because I was born and bred, I was born to a teacher and a nurse. My father was a teacher and my mother was a nurse, just like any other child. And I grew, of course, in my very tender age, I was with my parents until age 7. When my mother became sick for quite some time. No, actually, my father first became sick for quite some time. My mother was a nurse and he was taking care of him and everything, and we were small, so small boy. But unfortunately, while my father is in hospital, my mother became sick just for a week and passed on.
Oh, sorry.
While my father was in hospital. And I was a small baby, Willis, but I can't forget when they pulled my father. You know, people had really fundraised for my father's well-being because he really was in hospital for a year.
Sorry.
Until it got to a point where you invite people for a fundraiser, and so I hear, because I could see as a young boy, nobody was coming forth. Because now, I mean, really, that time, these issues of insurance and everything had not been marketed well, and people did not have private cards. I don't think there was NHIF. If there was, I don't know.
Right.
There was no medical cover for whatever reason, and especially for the teachers, because he was a teacher. It must have been very painful. But the worst experience was when my mother was being buried. Two things that really didn't excite me. One, they couldn't raise enough money for coffin. So they buried my mother using the cardboards. You know, it was really a very bad coffin. And then they pulled my father from hospital. Wasn't very conscious. Was being carried from the hospital. And to come and bury his wife. It's a small boy, I could see. It was a very bad scene. So they buried my mother. And then my father went back to the hospital. After 2 months, he also passed on.
Pole sana.
So you can imagine the situation we were in. And as it was being, of course, the people buried my father too. I remember during the burial now, one of my aunts who was crying the most until he broke the, it's called what? Until he broke the, you see this glass that is usually placed on top of the coffin. And she broke, sorry. So as she was crying and shedding tears and everything, I said, hey, this is a very good aunt. This is the one that must have loved my dad because I'm a small boy. So after the burial, each person is supposed to go with one of the relatives.
Right.
And I picked her. So we are six in number. We have three. Ladies 3 and gentlemen 3. And it's a very unfortunate thing in our lives because we didn't grow together. We grew like cousins because each person grew their way.
Right.
But the worst was me. I had a very bad growing experience because I moved from relative to relative. They considered me a bit stubborn. Okay, my character, as you know it now, I'm usually very firm.
Yes.
And people consider that as arrogance. It's very unfortunate that people consider when you're genuine and firm. I told you, people love pretenders. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. I have been in this politics now. This is my second term as a member of parliament. I will tell you that I have I have tried to start now learning the art of acting because people love actors. People love people who can burn a school and rush there with mattresses. They don't question how the fire came by. People love actors. And so I am usually very real. I'm trying now to be an actor, which is not really very easy for me.
Right.
In that realness, I did not have a good upbringing. One of my uncles wanted to sell my father's property. As a young boy, because I lived with him, I refused. What happens? Used to be beaten. I was 9, 10 years old. They cut my, by the way, people do not know I need to have a card for disability. This finger, this finger, as you can see,
Yes.
shapeless because of assault by a relative. This one, ikahang kabisa mpaka chini, ikashonwa. Nikikupiga kofi, utasikia uchungu sana juu hii ni plastic. And people do not know. And that is the time I went to the streets. I ran.
At 10 years?
Yes.
Okay.
I was a street boy for some time. Here in Nairobi, used to carry mizigo za wase. 10 bob nikule food. Nabeba, na kuomba 10 bob nini. So hizi vitu zote, sometimes nataka watu wanielewe. Nakuanga kichwa ngumu juu, hakuna kitu utanishtua nayo. Nimeziona zote. Nimekuwa kwa street, nimefungwa. There's a time mizigo ya mtu ilipotea nikashikwa. Akasema nimeiba. Nilibeba nikienda kupeleka kwa stage, niende nirudi ingine, nikakuja nikapata haiko. Akaniambia ulipeleka wapi ile ya kwanza nilikupea? Nikashikwa. At 11, that time sheria ilikuwa very weird. Haikuwa kama ya saa hii. Unawekwa remand kwanza for even 1 week. Alafu nikapelekwa industry. Mimi nimeonja jela. Nikiwa kijana kadogo. So saa zingine nasikia niliona hata hii juzi arrest osoro. Arrest osoro. Kuna watu kiambia arrest unamshtua. Sasa mimi bwana, bora tu nipe place kuna food. Hata kama ni gani, mimi nitakula tu. Juu mimi sijagrow na wazazi, sijagrow na nimegrow. So I got a good Samaritan. Akanibeba. A lady, late of course when I came out, akanipeleka Gashia. Kikuyu, Mkikuyu. Nikasoma, akanipeleka Kihara Primary when I explained my story and everything. And that explains to you that I speak Kikuyu like I speak Kisii.
Yes.
It's because of my upbringing.
Upbringing, yes.
Unfortunately, as I lived with her for 2 or 3 months, she passed on. You know, at some point I contemplated suicide because everything that I was touching, Willis, was failing. Then at that point I had stabilized a little bit. I remembered there's another relative in Kericho. I went there. So, to cut the long story short, I am one of the people who went to group of schools. Yani nilienda shule nyingi, primary. Simaanishi group of schools.
Oh, si group. Ulienda a group of schools.
Yes, nilikuwa naenda hii term, nasoma kwa hii, natoka naenda kwa hii through a relative. Wengine walikuwa wananifukuza ati nakula sana. Wengine walikuwa wanasema niko rude. Juu mimi vile tu niko, nitakukataza tu kitu. Look at my character from Matiang'i time. Nikimkataza wewe wacha. Mimi niko hivyo. That is why people get surprised nikikataza governor because they consider him so big. Afai kukatazwa. Nobody should question. Oh, live long the king. But unfortunately, even the president, mimi mkataza. Ask him when you get him. I'm the majority whip. I sit with the president and I tell him, Your Excellency, this one, no.
Sasa singemkataza asijenge State House. Na
900. Hiyo nilimsupport.
Mbona?
Because we are having, you know, it's not about him. The strength of any building, and any engineer will tell you, because I'm not an engineer, I'm a lawyer, but I've been building manyumba, will tell you that for the strength of a building is utmost maintenance and renovation. Hii nyumba ilijengwa kitambo. Kitambo sana. President after president. Na maisha inaendelea kuwa modern. Let me ask you, mbona utembei na Pujo 504? Si ni gari, mbona una change gari? Unaenda gari nyingine. Mbona utembea hii?
Lakini
shida si kwanza nikwambie, nitakuja hiyo point yenye nasema najua ndio unataka kusemea. Nitakuja hiyo point.
Sawa.
So hii nyumba ilijengwa kikoloni. William Ruto akitoka kutakuwa na rais mwingine, pengine ni Osoro. Wengine wote hawajarenovate, hawajajiunda vile ikuwe modern. Huyu ameamua ikuwe modern because sio yeye atakaa hapa milele. Maybe hata 2027 hujui. Hiyo ni ya Mungu. But by God's grace akikaa sana atakaa up to 2032. So you need to leave a mark anywhere. Willis hata ukiwa hapa mahali huko, you must leave a mark. Wherever you go, leave a mark. He wants to leave a mark, atengeneze pia hiyo building. For the first time since independence, ikuwe modern. Now, unauliza story ya pesa ni mingi sana.
But hatujasema hata pesa ni mingi. Renovation costs money, yes. It is the timing. When a nation is suffering and tax and people are struggling to eat, na mtu anachukua 900 and something million.
Hapana, kuna misconception yenye watu hamjui. Nyinyi wote.
Okay, are we struggling?
Tuna struggle, lakini kwani hiyo pesa isipojenga hapo ndio utakuja kupewa raia?
Lakini si anaweza repurpose.
Hapana. What usually happens is this. Na hiyo ndio kitu mimi naambianga watu. Every national budget yenye tunatengenezanga kuna vote ya president. It's called a vote.
Okay.
Ni kama saa hii kuna vote yangu in my office as a whip. Na kuna ka vote kango kama MP. Vote ya president, for example, tukiwekee 2 billion. Ni ya hospitality, ni ya anything he wants to do na hiyo do. Hiyo vote lazima ikue kwa nini? As a head of state, you host sometimes wageni. Au wageni ukionanga wakikuja hapa, mahali wanalala, hospitality is part of the vote ya president. Mapresident wengine, nini na vitu kama hizo. Aya, raia na kila mtu mwenye anaenda state house, hiyo chai mnakunywa, ni hospitality. It is part of the vote of the president. Everything within the presidency ya movement, junior president, hiyo ni vote. Kama ni 2 billion, ni 2 billion. I change. Anaweza amua aseme namna hii. Badala hii pesa yote muweke kwa hiyo hospitality. Hii mwaka staki, and I think that's what he did. In the next 3 months, I don't want to host guests. Hiyo vote, hiyo pesa, wanakuja Uganda, wanakuja kwetu hapa. For now, ama kusafiri nje, let me hold. Within this vote, I want this house to be done. So hiyo pesa isipofanya hiyo renovation, itafanya tu hospitality kazi ingine because ni vote yake. I affect.
Na hawezi tumia hiyo vote kufanya kitu ingine in terms of ya kusaidia wananchi.
Hiyo kitu ya nyumba ni kusaidia pia wananchi because you want an image for your president's house and president and state house.
Na tulale njaa na image.
Hiyo pesa yezi toka kule. So hakuna maneno. Hakuna maneno. Kulala njaa Willis ni kuenda nje na kuhustle. Usipoamka kila siku utalia serikali. And there is no single government that will come out and feed any Kenyan. And I've told people several times, what the government does is to give you an enabling environment. The debate about taxation is genuine. That's part of the enabling environment.
Yes.
The debate about fuel and everything.
Yes.
Again, we need to be genuine to people. The president does not define, or the public or the parliament does not define the cost of fuel. It is wrong. It is not us. Because that is not something we produce.
Okay, hiyo naye in his defense alisema hata
Yes.
Akasema hata msinishukuru bei ikishuka.
Hata tena vile imeshuka
sasa nimeshukisha.
Bado itapanda because si yake. So kitu tu wananchi walikuwa naambiwa atoe subsidy, alipe, hawajui subsidy. Subsidy ni kwamba unalipa mafuta nusu. Sasa wewe ukienda kwa hiyo pump, serikali imekulipia kama mafuta ni 100, serikali ipate imekulipia 100. Aliwewe sasa kutoa hiyo nyingine. Hiyo ndio subsidy, wanakusubsidize. Sasa hiyo pesa tunakulipia inatoka wapi? Yet atu collect enough. Sasa hiyo ndio tulitoa, ndio maana mafuta ilipanda. But ilikuwa ipanda hivyo. Hiyo subsidy tulitoa. Juu hiyo pesa unless tuende tukope ndio tupeane. Na bado wewe ndio utalipa. So tukue genuine tu. Unajua leadership ni ngumu. Hakuna kitu naweza fanya ionekane ni ni kama game. Unajua kama mimi na wewe tuna supporting team kubwa inaitwa Manchester United.
Yes, the only greatest.
Yeah, exactly.
Excuse me. Everybody on this side wanyamaze. Huku ndo tunaongea.
Huku ndio tunazungumza. So tukiwatch game yetu mazee unaona kama mazee hii ni nini? Huyu jamaa anauza mbaya. Yes. Unafikiri ukiweka huko ndani wewe ndio utaweza. Boss si rahisi. Unajua mimi nidhani nikikuwa MP nitakuwa na order watu around tengeneza hii barabara inakuwa. Nikagundua mazee bureaucracy yenye iko huko ndani. Ndio dozi patikane. Ndio uweke projects. Ai buda. Tunakanyaganga maofisi. Leo yenyewe nimeenda maofisi kama 3. Za stima, unapata faili yako ilikuwa juu ishawekwa chini, kuna mtu amekuja imewekwa. So you keep on fighting. Na raia huko anasema osoro tu ajengi barabara, leti stima. Yani it is a lot of stress. We have no systems. Third world countries ziko na challenge ya systems. Systems must be pushed. That's why tuna concentrate na trivial things. Because hakuna system. That's why MP kama mimi ninaenda ground kuenda kupeana basari. Juu hakuna system ya kupeana. That's why governor wangu anazunguka kupeana forms. Juu hakuna system. It is
shagala bagla. Anyway, back to the story. Yes.
So nimesoma group of schools and by God's grace nikamaliza from Chemasingi Primary School, class 8. Then nikaitwa Kapsabet. I was one of the top students in Kericho district then. And I'll say, unfortunately, my uncles wakakuja. Ile pesa ilikuwa mwalimu sako kidogo. Wakatoa ile sako. Wakakuja wakanisema wananipeleka form 1. Enyewe walinipeleka lakini walilipa term 1 peke yake.
Hapo Kapsabet sasa.
Yes. Term 2 no fees. Nikapelekwa shule inaitwa Kamungei. Huko Kericho. Peke yake. So nikakwama hapo tena. Sikumaliza hata hiyo term. Pesa iliisha. Nikarudi ushago. Nikarudi kwa one of the uncles akaniambia kuna do. Nikarudi ushago. Ushago nilifanya nini? Kumbuka there is no grandmother. By the way, they had died. No grandmother, no grandfather, no father, no mother. Huko ushago, no relative. Watu wameenda kutafuta nje. So ninaishi kwa ile nyumba ya baba yangu ya kitambo. So I started cooking for myself as a young boy. Doing manual work hapo kidogo, nini. Huko kwetu tunakuanga na kazi ya kutengeneza sukari nguru, ukiuza. That was my business. I suffered. Naishi peke yangu, I am 14. I was 14. Then nikatengeneza some 300 shillings, 300, 600 hapo there about. Nikapata nyumba ya hapo home. Nikaambia mtu nitengeneze mandazi. So I started making mandazi na chai ya 5 bob. Unatengeneza mandazi ya 5 bob na chai. Mandazi ya 5 bob na chai. Ukitengeneza ka profit kidogo. Then kuna shule hapo home inaitwa Nyakorere Secondary School.
Nyakorere.
Yes. Hapo ndio kwetu. Okay. Nyakorere is my village.
Yes.
So I used to, the form 1s wakitoka shule na waitisha vitabu nikiuza mandazi. They were my best customers for mandazi. Nasoma. I had hopes. At some point I'll go to school. I used to read. Nikitengeneza mandazi ya asubuhi nini. Natengeneza ka profit. Katao 3. Wiki hivyo, 2 mandazi. Then, the year I'm supposed to be in form 2, I took myself to a school called Nyabigena Boys. It used to be Nyabigena Mixed. Nowadays, it's Nyabigena Boys. It's in my constituency. It's a boarding school. Very good school. Even this year, wamepeleka watoto vizuri university. Every year, wamepeleka vizuri. So I went there. And I talked to the principal. Alikuwa anaitwa Mr. Onsongo. Kaenda kwake nikamwambia, I think he's retiring this year. He's in some school. If he hasn't retired, He was very young that time. So I went there, I talked to him. That was his first station. I told him my problems, nini. Then he told me, hizo shida, tafuta fees. Lakini tutakufanyisha interview. I did the interview. That time it was at a very big school, as it is now. Do you know I passed the interview for Form 2? Because I was studying kwa hiyo nini.
Yeah.
Nikasoma term 1, Wellis. I was number 1 in that school. Term 2 kukuja, sina fees. Sinajua sasa, niliingia ndani kama boda. Niache kuuza mandazi. The reason why nilitaka kuwa boda is not because I enjoy being in boarding. I wanted food. I was struggling, my friend. Wacha hii siku hizi story, unaona nikiketi hapa na wewe simu yangu inapigwa. Mazee, wakati una do una eni. Wakati una kitu, simu yako unafikirianga ni aje, you know. Wakati uko na kakitu
Unapiga.
Buddha. So I struggled that way. Then Form 2 nikaenda hiyo term 2 nikafukuzwa. Ile siku tunafukuzwa, we are going out, the school bazaar came after me because he's the one who is releasing the letters for those with the fee balance. He told me, young man, come. I don't want you to go. I said, okay. But principal atanitoa class. I said, no, you relax. I'll give you a letter and a meal card. Because I wanted to be in school. Then he called me to his office. He told me, you know why I'll give you that? Your father, your late father, because you are young, you do not know, your late father and myself were married to sisters. So your mother, my former wife, because they had divorced, my former wife is your aunt. Okay. And your father was my friend. Kanitolea picha zile za kitambo. Kanionyesha. He was prepared. This is your father in my wedding. And I said, hey, okay. So I'll help you. You'll study in this school.
Wow.
Yeah. So I finished. He gave me a meal card. I was there in term 2, vizuri. Tukaenda likizo. Listen to this. Kurudi term 3. And we are standing in parade. The first parade. Principal comes with news. Kasema, we are going for burial. We lost one of us. Who? The school bazaar.
Hey. Where?
If there was a moment now I wanted to kill myself, was that. You know, there was no phone. There was nothing. School bazaar amekufa. Na mimi sijui. Tumetoka home. That school is about 5 kilometers from my place. So I used to trek. Tukienda likizo, nilikuwa naenda nafanya ile kazi yangu ya kubebea watu mbao. Vitu za home hapo tu. Kuchonga kwari. And so nikaamua, nikaona, sasa nikafukuzwa. After burial, tulifukuzwa. Si list ilitoka, there is nobody. So nilifukuzwa. Nikarudi tu home. Kaendelea na ile kazi yangu. Do you want us to proceed with the story? Or
Yes, we need to. So how did you get to Form 4 and all of this?
No, when I went back home, I continued na casual nini. Nikakumbuka, I had an aunt, sister to my mother in Kisii town. So I raised enough fare. Nikaenda Kisii town, my aunt Esther. Nikaishi kwake, nikamwambia, auntie, see you support me nisome shule. Kaniambia, I wish I could. But I have a huge burden, which is true. Your cousins are here. Nini. Akaniambia, you be here. Nitajaribu kuongea hata na shule ziko hapa karibu. But kaa hapa. Nikitafuta pesa uende shule. And I stayed with her. She was good. But ni pesa hakuwa nayo. Mimi naye ni najua kuishi. So nilikuwa natoka kwake asubuhi naenda library, Kisii National Library. Nasoma buda. Niko na hopes tu. Nikimaliza saa 3, saa 4, saa 5 hapo. Naingia town na kaa mahali watu wanafanya welding. So nikapata jamaa anajua anafanya welding. Akaniambia, kijana, badala ukae uangalie, si tukufunze hii kazi ya welding. So I became a welder. I'm a very good welder, by the way.
Ukitaka
kuchomelea dirisha niite. So akaanza kunifunza welding, nikajua. Nikiwa harakati ya welding, nasoma library, nakuja nafanya welding saa 5 saa 6. Nilikuwa naamkia library. Aunti yangu alikuwa ameniachilia tu. So hapa natengeneza 50 bob, so ananiambia chomelea hii chuma, na nipewa 50 bob, 30 bob hivyo. Katika hiyo harakati somebody came tumchomelee pickup yake. That person looked at me. I resemble my mother in kwa sura. Alikuwa anajua my parents wote. They used to live together for long. My father at some point taught at Njonjo Girls High School, so they were teachers together. And alikuwa anawajua. So he looked at me, and I think it's the Holy Spirit or something. Akanaona, mbona unafanana Sarah? Akambia, what do you mean? Akasema, unafanana Sarah. Na ukicheka unacheka kama Meshach. Wewe ni mtoto ya... And I used to be very tiny. Meshach na Sarah? Akambia, yes. He couldn't give me a chance. He started beating me.
Allah.
Yes. What is your problem? Unaacha shule? Unakuja kufanya kazi ya kuchomelea? Kanituanga kweli kweli. Ananipiga kofi na mwambia, mpaka watu wakakuja hapo, unachapa mtoto kwa nini? Hapana, mtoto anafaa kuwa shule. Huyu ni watoto wameshinda baba yao. Why is your father... I didn't leave your father this silly. Why is he very silly this nowadays? Anakuacha. You know, he used to be a disciplinarian huyo jamaa. So nikangoja akamaliza hasira zake, wakamwambia ngoja sikiza huyo mtoto akueleze. Nikamwambia, those people you're talking about passed on long time ago. He didn't know. So akashtuka. Akaniita kando, akaniweka kwa pickup yake, akanipeleka kwa hoteli. Akaniambia, give me the story. I told him the story. I told him why I'm there. He felt bad. Roho yake ikachafuka. Alikuwa amefungua shule ingine inaitwa Hill Secondary School. Siku hizi Kisii inaitwa Imperial. Akaniambia, niko na shule imefika form 4, inafanya form 4 this year. Ndio ya kwanza itafanya form 4. So nitakupeleka kwa hiyo shule, uingie hiyo form 3. Sitaki urudi nyuma, you are sharp. Akanipeleka. Nilishukuru. Akanifanyia shopping. So in boarding we were 30 students. It was a small school.
Yeah.
The entire boarding. By the entire school we were about 100. And we used to be taught, of course, by this. Wale watoto wa form 4 wamemaliza wamekuja. I start KCSE with my chemistry teacher. Juu alikuwa amerepeat. Alikuwa ameregister private.
It's not good for a chemistry teacher to repeat.
Alikuwa because hatukuwa na center ya exam. So tulikuwa nafanyia another center. So tukaendelea namna hiyo. Nilikuwa sasa ni boarding tu. By God's grace tukamaliza form 4. Kwa hiyo likizo nilikuwa naenda kwa aunti yangu, tunakuja ama kwa huyo mzee. Anakuja ananiona kila siku, kila weekend. I finished form 4 from that place and I got a B+. That is my life in terms of high school.
Yes.
Then nikashukuru Mungu sana. You know that school, mtu wa pili alikuwa ngapi? Alikuwa na D. I think D msalaba.
Daudi msalaba.
Alikuwa wa pili. You know my classmates even today they wanna enjoy. Wanasema napenda kuwa enjoy, but it's true. If I had an opportunity to go to good schools and study vile nilikuwa nimeitwa shule Kapsabet nisome nimalize, maybe hata singekuwa mwanasiasa. God was panel beating me in a way that for now. But haikuishia hapo buda. Nilikuja hii Nairobi after that kuishi na cousin yangu hapo Mukuru kwa Ruben. You know that time you used to get a placement ilikuwa weird. And because people were passing very well, I don't know why people were, I don't know, nowadays wanapita.
Ndio wanajaribu. Wanajaribu.
Ulikuwa unapata A mingi, A minus mingi. Sasa huku KU ikaniita nifanye education. Placement yangu ikakuwa nifanye education. Mazee mimi kuangalia, my father was a teacher and he died poor. Mimi nikasema sitaki kuwa mwalimu. With tremendous respect to the teachers. But my imagination as a kid that time. So I wanted to be an accountant. Why? My uncle was an accountant na alikuwa anaendesha gari. So my imagination ni kwamba huyu accountant
Ndio kuna pesa.
ndio ako na do. So maybe my self drive that time ni kukuwa na do. So nikasema wacha ni hold kidogo. Nikaanza kuuza gazeti. Nakumbuka tulikuwa tunangoja 1.5 years. Nikaanza kuuza, nikakuwa newspaper vendor. Imta standard. Tulikuwa tunaacha ID, unapewa gazeti uuze. Standard newspaper. I think those guys used to give me I remember there's some guy called Mushai and some other guy. There's another guy alikuwa nipe kazi formal naitwa Chola. I think now is in Nation. He's the head of distribution in Nation or something. We talked the other day because I remember going to his office giving me and compare your story, akaniambia wewe tutakupea kazi. Now, nilikuwa nauza gazeti. So asubuhi nauza gazeti Bunyala Road. Na kanyaga kaguu kutoka Mkuru kwa Ruben paka Bunyala Road asubuhi, wala watu naonanga wanasimama nini. Nilikuwa natamani mazee siku moja hata mimi kwa jam mtu aniuzie gazeti. Siwezi sahau hiyo story. Narudi Mkuru. But nikafika develop growth yangu ya wisdom kidogo. Kale ka profit nilikuwa natengeneza kama 300. I started buying njugu. So as I sell newspaper, nikimaliza saa 4 watu wanunui newspaper. Zile njugu nauza. Nikaona ina grow. Nikaongeza biscuits. Kwa hiyo traffic watu wananitisha njugu nini. Kumbe I can make money. I started making 1,000 a day profit. Started making 500, I started making 800. Naishi Mukuru. Nikatoka kwa kazini yangu nikaanza kuishi kwa kanyumba kangu. Mukuru bado. Nikagrow tena. Nikaona no, I can manage. So ninajiuliza after saa 6 what do I do? We are here. It is saa 6. What do we do? Do I go home and relax? With the money I had started making, nikaanza kuenda Gekosh. I buy clothes after nimemaliza hizi shughuli. Kaanza kununua nguo kidogo za ladies. Ladies are very good customers. I'm very good in the ladies you see here, I can dress them. Nilikuwa nanunua nguo zingine zinaitwa boreros. I don't know. You know borero ni nini?
Yes. Mimi najua bodycon.
Oliza. Nilikuwa nanunua trench coats. Nilikuwa nanunua nguo za madem. Nazipiga pasi vizuri huko. Naziweka kwa handbag. After saa 6 natembea office to office. Unajua ni bag, inakaa laptop. Nauza. Kamera unanunua nguo ya kamera mzuri, for example trench coat that time. Nilikuwa nanunua kamera so. Ukizipiga pasi vizuri na upate meraruka kidogo, unashona kidogo tu. Naambia udemi imetoka Turkey, imetoka sijui wapi, nini imekunjwa vizuri. Nilikuwa nawauzia 1,000 ama 1,500. Squeeze, I think ni 3,000. I think so if I'm not, I don't know. But nilikuwa nauza 1,000, 1,500. Alafu naambia madem, kwanza ma secretary ni wazuri. Unajua ndio ufikiwa maboss. Unaambia dem atoe deposit 500 tu namwachia, nitakuja end month. Unajua hata hiyo 500 nishatengeneza profit. So narudi naongeza nguo zingine. Nanunua tu blouse mzuri na iron vizuri na waletea nauzia so 4. Na hiyo ukinunua nilikuwa package nilikuwa nanunua 50 bob kamoja. So nakuja nauza so 4 so 5. Namwambia leta tu so 2 nitakuja next end month nichukue. So I had a list of customers. Boss niliunda do. But nilishikwa tena na kanjo siku nyingine. Nikae kwa ndani, nilishikwa Thursday, Good Friday ilikuwa kesho yake. So nilikaa ndani mpaka Tuesday. Alafu nikapelekwa kotini, nikaambiwa nifagie City Hall for a week. Nguo zangu zilienda. Tena nikaanza kurestock. Lakini nikajua ujanja ya mtaa. So as I proceeded with that, eventually nikajipata nimetengeneza kado. In Mkuru kwa Ruben, nilipata kwa account niko na about 40-50,000 for a person from the slums. What do you think of ukikuwa hivyo? Naanza kuimagine vile, kumbuka nilikuwa nataka kununua gari. Nikafungua butchery sasa. So, I've given you a series of my day. Asubuhi, gazeti. Bado sijatoka kuuza gazeti. Njugu, biscuit, nini, nguo, butchery jioni. Butchery yangu ilikuwa Mkuru kwa Ruben. Nika diversify, nikatengeneza do. So one point, nikapata niko na do enough. Nika register for CPA. Why? I want to be an accountant. So CASNEB. Kaanza. Najikaza na struggle because I imagine my uncle was an accountant. But now within that period, nikafanya blanda. Mtu akaniuzia gari. Ndio maana nilikuuliza story na Pujo 504. That was my first car. Nakumbuka nilinunua 80,000. Iko kwa mawe bado mpaka saa hii Mkuru kwa Ruben. Because niliona niko na do. I wanted to drive. Ulikuwa nakuja na park huko Hilux na kanyaga kaguu Ruben chini mguu. Na park hapo mafuta ilikuwa inakunywa. But my imagination was I want to drive. But nilikuwa naweka tanguo hapo nini. But fast forward, to cut the long story short, I got to change my dream from people's comments over me. Because I am a very serious church person. Despite my drama and shortcoming, I serve in church. Even today, I serve in the Grace Church as a pianist in the praise and worship. I play.
So unacheza piano. Mwamileno abelele Mungu.
Hiyo ni gift. Si kwenda college yote kujifunza hiyo. Hata guitar. Hiyo ni vitu. My father was a music teacher, so ina grow hivyo. So watu kaanza kuniambia, wewe sasa wewe siku wakili. Argument zako nini. That is the time the School of Law of Mount Kenya had started. Na mimi ni hustler. Ninataka mahali that time yenye naweza enda nisome that time, although ili change. Yenye naweza nisome na mchana ni hustle. It is only university that time that had evening classes. Wengine hakukua. Naenda hapa, nikaenda Nairobi, nikaenda wapi, nikakosa. Nikaanza kwenda evening classes na hustle mchana. Bado naishi Mkuru kwa Ruben. Nika hustle by the time I was second year. Na alafu nauza nguo. Nilikuwa nauza nguo nikiwa hiyo university. Nilikuwa nauza nguo. Nanunua nguo bado nini. Nimeacha tu gazeti. Sasa hizi zingine zinaendelea. Nauzia wanafunzi nini. Policy katoka from CLE tufanye mchana. Kuna evening classes kwa nini. Kaanza kuleta shida that time. But nilikuwa nimefika I think 4th year or something. Tukamaliza. Nikaenda Kenya School of Law. But by the time I'm second year, by the way, nimeshikashika kado na nguo from the clothes. Nyama nimegrow, nikagrow nyama nikaanza kuuza hadi na export. Yes. Story mob. Nikafungua kampuni ya marketing, nikagrow by iko mpaka saa hii. Nikiwa tu university, by second year I was driving, nilikuwa na Mercedes. That time sasa nikahama hapo nikaanza kuishi Mkuru. Gashie ile place najua. Hivyo at some point nikaenda Meru. Biashara kidogo nikaongeza, nikapata niko na do. Aya, kuangalia niko na do na biashara imegrow, account yangu imegrow na hizo biashara zangu nyingi, nikakuwa broker ya vitu mingi, nimetengeneza pesa, nikapata niko na account yangu iko na about 10 million. As a young man, what do you think of? Umenunua gari? Umenunua apartment ya kwanza? Nilinunua apartment yangu ya kwanza 2.5. What else do you think of? Umeona wewe ndio kusema mtaa. nikafikiria sasa nimegrow nikakaa nikaanza ama niingie siasa. Sasa 2013 nikaingia siasa. Where inaitwa wapi kule Embakasi South. Nikasimama kiti ya MP, nikarudi zero tena, nikaanguka bila kupingwa. Lakini sasa nilikuwa nimejifunza, ndio nikajikaza. Nikarudi tena juu nimejifunza biashara. 2017 nikasimama tena, lakini Kisii. Kwa Kisii nikisimama watu wakasema huwezi shinda, you are from a small clan. People used my growing as a disadvantage. Nikaitumia positively. Walikuwa wananiita chokora. Sema hii chokora hii itashinda. Hii chokora mtaachia chokora constituency. Nikaanza kutumia hiyo positively to my advantage. Chokora ikashinda ikakuwa MP. Because I was denied ticket ODM. Nikaenda Jubilee nikanyimwa ticket hiyo time. Matiang'i ndiye alikuwa brother yake alikuwa anasimama. By the way is MP. Nikaenda chama ndogo inaitwa Kenya National Congress.
Yes.
Nikashinda. Wakasema aya, kumbe Osoro anaweza shinda. Sasa 2022 wakaniwekea competitors kweli kweli. If this chokora can win, hata sisi tunaweza mtoa. So this time nikashinda nao, mtu wa kunifuata nilimshinda double. And that is how my life is.
Wow.
By God's grace, we hope that in future we'll lead this country. And if only people just understand that wasipende drama, wasipende viongozi wa drama, wapende tu kuuliza development. Lakini shida ni kwamba sijui kama tutafika hiyo level.
Tutafika. Kama ulifika kutoka quote unquote chokora to hapa, tupatie hata sisi hope.
No.
Be the change.
But for me, generally what I like telling people is that whining and complaining will not help. You know, the reason why people fail in life is because they really whine. People whine a lot. You wake up in the morning, wanna blame people. You have somebody to blame. Why have you not made it? Kazi ni ya brother yako, shemeji yako, sister yangu mdogo, mwenye ameoa shemeji yako mkubwa, ndiye ameninyima kazi. You know, Osoro, hii ni extended relative, lakini ameninyima kazi. Buddha, nobody wakes up in the morning to think of you. Kila mtu anamkanga kujifikiria. In the process ndio unakuja. Mimi sija amka asubuhi ati sasa niko zile za niko na stress juu uko na stress. I'll do what I'm supposed to do as an individual, but I'll not have stress. Because you have stress.
Right.
And I keep telling people that wake up in the morning. You know, nowadays the young people, when you look at them, some of them, they wake up, unapata kijana ana kitu lakini analala mpaka saa 4 na una kitu. Unajua kuwa na kitu ndio ulale. Sasa wewe uko hapa, you sleep too much as though you are competing with the dead and you want to make it in the land of the living. How possible is that? Una compete na maiti kwa kulala. Lakini unataka ku make in this land of the living. It's not practical. So people should pay the price.
Yes.
Stop blaming people. Jitume. Me, my call about myself. I don't know. It's something in me. Mi mazee mi ni mse wa kujituma. Na amkanga asubuhi kujituma. Na hakuna kitu naogopa. If you tell me today that your dream is on that tree, na hii kuna wall, nitapita na hii wall. Nitavunjika yes, lakini nitajitibu huko. And then focus on your dream. Because the world is 99% negative people. When I did my first social media post that I want to vie for MP,
Yes.
I wasn't famous, I wasn't known, but I got that day about 1,000 comments. Nani atakuchagua? Kwenda, huwezi chaguliwa. We know, bure, haribu tu do, nini. If you keep on listening to negative people,
Right.
people give you negativity because they can't be you. They only give you positivity wakati wanaona unaweza enda chini. Ukue kama wao. When you're up there, or when you're focusing to be up there, hapa chini mazee unavutwa mbaya sana.
Right.
Wasa watakwambia, wezi. 90% of the first people to give you negativity are your relatives and your close friends. And that's why when you pray in the morning, you need to pray God that God protect me from my friends. Because for my relatives, I know how to handle them. Because your friends are the first people. No, for my enemies, I know how to handle them. Enemy hawezi kukutakia mabaya, hataki kukuona. Lakini rafiki, tunamka asubuhi uko hivi, siku hizi anaringa. Tutaona mahali atafika. That's all unaonanga msee akifail. Tulijua tu. Ulijua aje? Kama ulijua si ungeniambia.
Ndio tusifail.
Ndio tusifail. But watu wanataka ufail. So the young people wajue ni kujituma. Because especially in this competitive politics, young people wanaogopa hata kusimama. Mtu ako zile za, nitachaguliwa kweli. Simama tu, jitume tu. Alafu usifuate negatives. Hiyo ndio kitu nimegundua. Life is full of negative energy. And judgment. People judge you. They don't listen to your side of the story. Today, if somebody gives a story about Willis, you'll be judged vibaya.
Yes.
Mtu hataki kusikia, by the way, yeye alipiti, hebu ngoja tusikie. People don't like that. They judge you. They find a way to pull you down, to step on you. Ukiwa chini flat, they rejoice. Because nobody, we are in full of competition as a people, as a humanity. Wow. That is
your story.
My story.
Asante sana. That is quite captivating. Quite a lot of ups and downs pale ulipitia mingi sana. And normally I ask what your advice will be, but umeshapatia hata the youth that piece of advice. So I guess we will end it there. But I will say thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for clearing the air, for sharing your story. I'm sure somebody who is watching is either going through part of, has been through a section of it, or pia maybe yako na yake ni the same. Maybe ana relate. Amesaidika tena sana.
Lakini alipe tithe. Akitengeneza do, haraka kidogo, ulipange tu tithe.
Aweke tithe 10%. Fungo la 10.
Fungo la 10 na itakuchunga maisha yako. Watu wanafikirianga ni pastor ukula. Mimi sifikirianga hivyo. Tithe 10%, regardless of our sinful ways. There is a way, there is a cloud that is always chasing after you that you don't know. Lakini ukitoanga tithe, and you know the Bible says, pay tithe, not give. Ni kama tax. Ndio nimekuwa nikiambia watu wangu leo asubuhi nimeserviwa tax bill ya biashara nilifanya kwa law firm juzi. And I didn't pay. So there is no shortcut. In fact, nimeenda kujaribu kutoa title plus certificate, nimeambiwa hapana, lipa hii. Kwanza. And I'm going to pay. Tithe is that way. Unapata compliance, God anakuprotect. And then kwa hii terrain, that's how we survive. That's why some things happen and you're like, hey, huyu alitoboa aje. Na wale wanasema sijui arrest osoro, wambie watangoja sana. You know, I am not a criminal. Alafu tena hiyo ikakuja, hizo ni vitu ndogo. Just focus on you. Stop focusing on other people's stories. Just focus on you.
Yes.
And life will proceed.
Asante sana. Wekala hapa. Sema tena wabebe. Wabebe! Asante sana. Thank you very much indeed. See you on the other side.